The newly elected Labour government in the UK has wasted no time in making its position clear to Israel, and I think it's fair to say that it's not one that shows a lot of agreement or friendship towards the Jewish state. They withdrew the ICC objection, which would have stopped the ICC considering that case for issuing arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. They refunded UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency that Israel has shown has deep connections to Hamas and October the 7th. And it's reported by some to have paused or cancelled all new arms licenses to Israel. The parties also flirted with recognising Palestinian statehood since October the 7th, seen by many as an action that would be a reward for that terrorism. So it's perhaps no surprise if Israel has been less than receptive about giving a meeting to David Lammy. After all, he said he was going to the region in order to try to minimise the outbreak of wider war in the region. Whether or not Britain's really in any position to play an important part in that action, really, I think the jury's out on that, to say the least. Britain no longer a power that could necessarily stop that happening in the region. And so why should Benjamin Netanyahu meet him, you might ask?
Now, what does this ultimately mean for British-Israeli relations?
Well, just this weekend, David Lammy wrote a piece in the Observer newspaper here saying that Israel's actions in Gaza continue to lead to intolerable loss of civilian life. So that gives you an idea of the emphasis that he's trying to put on the conflict at the moment. No mention there of Hamas's actions, literally putting those civilians in the line of fire to act as cover for their fighters. And so Israeli sources suggested that indeed when there was that contact, that Netanyahu snubbed Lammy, and that of course in effect is a snub to Great Britain. So maybe it does put some cooling on the relations. But I think in real terms we won't see very much change. I don't think that Britain would necessarily sit back and watch Iran attack. Though there are now reports coming out after the visit saying that Britain wouldn't get involved actively should war break out with Iran. But what that means is unclear. Perhaps Britain will still get involved in a defensive way should there be some sort of barrage from Iran and its terror proxies in the region, just as there was back in April. Britain did play a part at that time as well. So the new government in the UK is really making its position clear, I think, and that is a cooling of relations with Israel, but not officially. It's not coming out and saying so. And there, of course, was that recent story that came out in the Telegraph that said that, in fact, Israel had presented Britain with documentation seized in Gaza, revealing that Hamas had planned to exhume 3,000 British and Commonwealth servicemen buried in Gaza as leverage on Britain should Britain try to relocate its embassy to Jerusalem, as America did, which again maybe shows that there are two sides to this fight even for Britain. There is still one hostage in Gaza that we know of alive who is a British citizen as well. All of these things will be in the minds of David Lammy and the rest of the UK government as they do try to rebalance any kind of relations with Israel. But nonetheless, they are trying to put a lot of emphasis on the condition of those in Gaza.
All right. Now, just quick comment on this. There's other drama that has reportedly unfolded. Apparently, Lammy and the French foreign minister wore a yellow hostage pin while meeting with Israeli foreign minister Israel Katz, but then took that pin off when meeting with their Palestinian counterpart. What do we know about this?
Yes, again, the little things maybe send out the signals. They did wear those yellow ribbon hostage pins when they met with Israel Katz, the Israeli foreign minister. They removed them for a meeting the same day with Mohammed Mustafa, the Palestinian prime minister, perhaps sending a signal that it wasn't such a heartfelt gesture after all, wearing the pin, more of a gesture for the photo opportunity. And things like that, I think, are seen very widely in Israel and the world beyond.